Welcome back to the Sense of Life podcast. My name is Cody,
And I'm Joe.
and today we got a double feature here, a Woody Allen double feature. We
That's
are
right.
talking about 1989's Crimes and Misdemeanors and 1992's Husbands and Wives.
Yeah, not our first Woody Allen film.
Yeah.
But it is our first Woody Allen double feature.
Yes.
I think the
And
last one we did a Roman Polanski movie and a Woody Allen movie, and the
yes,
joke was that they were both
problematic faves,
yeah,
basically.
yeah. Yeah.
Just and to tie it in with what we were just talking about before we jumped on air, they were both kind of entering the goon cave to avoid the longhouse type of movies. So
Fair enough.
yeah.
I just had one of those
Any?
bots on Twitter fucking that tags you within like a block of text that's just a bunch of people's ats.
Oh yeah.
We need to find that person who does that and kill them.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. This episode is being recorded and uploaded late for the third week in a row because this time a completely new reason. We're finding new reasons every week as to why we can't get the fucking schedule to work. This time
maybe we just need to change the schedule.
Set it to Tuesday instead of Monday. This time it was the liberals, right? They used the power of child sacrifice to summon a storm that fucking shut my internet off for over 12 hours. So from like 8:30 last night until like probably like 9 or 10 o'clock this morning, my internet was just out. So that was cool. And
yeah.
The funny thing was, I had kind of warned ahead of time. I was like, hey, we might need to push this back a day. And then we usually record 7:30 Eastern time, which is 8:30 my time. So the fact that my internet went out like almost to the minute at the time we usually decide we're going to record was very... Yeah, I don't think that was a coincidence.
Yeah, they used the same like Graham Hancock ass weather machine they used to start that like fucking storm in Texas a couple years ago,
right?
To create an electric storm to stop us from recording the all important Sense of Life podcast.
Oh,
yeah. Real. This has been fact checked by Real American Patriots.
Yeah.
Speaking of Real American Patriots, Woody Allen.
Yeah.
What did you think?
Well, and this might just be my general mood lately. I wasn't really like I didn't really like Husbands and Wives. I didn't really laugh at all that much.
Oh, really?
When I watched that one, yeah, no. I actually liked Crimes and Misdemeanors though. I thought that was pretty good.
Okay.
That being said, it's not as if I have nothing to say about Husbands and Wives. Yeah. I just it's a comedy, but I didn't really laugh, so that was a bit of a problem.
Sure. Yeah, do you want to maybe start with that one and then go to the positive one at the
end? Sure. I think that would be better actually if we kind of segue into a more positive one.
I liked Husbands and Wives, but I will let you elaborate.
Sure. I mean, as far as like the way that it was shot and like the kind of structure of it, it was interesting. It wasn't like it was just kind of boring or anything.
Sure.
There wasn't really any jokes that kind of like made me laugh. And that's kind of the extent of like that problem with it, was basically there wasn't really anything that was jumping out at me as particularly funny.
Yeah, I think a lot of the humor from this one is it's kind of like Deconstructing Harry, which I don't think you've seen. This is like Woody's angry period. So 1992, I think he's just getting divorced with
yeah. This is, but she's in the movie.
Yes, and this is
Yeah.
like the last movie they did together.
Yeah.
So it's a book about a couple different relationships coming apart and coming together.
Right.
So I think to get, I don't even know if I'd call them jokes, just the overall je ne sais quoi or whatever of the movie.
I took French in school.
Or joie de vivre, I think is the word I was looking for. Je ne sais quoi. I don't even know if I'm saying that right.
I think you're saying it right.
I think it was mainly because I had just watched Eugene Kotlyrenko's, I think it was his third feature, A Wonderful Cloud from 2015. But Husbands and Wives felt really in the kind of like filmmaking grammar end of things. It really felt like it was what Eugene Kotlyrenko is pulling from in movies like Wobble Palace and Spree. I don't know if you've seen those. They're pretty recent.
No, I haven't.
I'd recommend them both. Wobble Palace is about this millennial couple that are like doing this kind of polyamorous thing. Eugene himself stars as the guy, and Dasha Nekrasova from the Red Scare podcast stars as the girl.
Yeah. That's a name I have heard.
Yes. And they like, it takes place, I think, on the night of the 2016 election.
Yeah.
And
I was watching a live stream of the votes coming in.
Yeah, so was I. I think, what was I doing?
They make a pretty shitty movie.
It actually works out really well for the movie.
I mean, like a movie of just dudes on Discord watching the votes come in for the 2016 election.
Well, you say that, but like Eugene's first movie is basically made up of these kind of vignettes of people on Skype and whatnot.
Okay.
I'm kind of curious about it. It's called Zeros and Ones. It's about this like again, he does a lot of like comedies and comedy dramas. His most recent movie was a horror movie called Spree with Joe Keery from Stranger Things.
Okay.
It's about this guy that goes on a spree killing using a rideshare service, but the kind of the gimmick, quote unquote, of the movie is it takes place all on like a Twitch live stream.
Okay.
With the comments coming in.
So it's kind of like oh shit. There's like a horror movie where it's these friends that are on like a Skype call and they're being like haunted by the ghost of some lady that like killed herself or something.
Zeros and Ones is kind of like a proto Unfriended, I think.
Unfriended, yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Spree is like American Psycho, but for like Twitch streamers. I don't know.
Right.
He's a really interesting filmmaker. He makes some cool movies, but I think
I'm looking forward to the deconstruction of a literally me kind of guy, but shown through a Let's Play.
Yeah.
Or his increasingly more deranged anime reviews on YouTube.
Written and directed by the Kino Corner.
Yeah.
The final entry of his Literally Me video essay series is just a film.
That's great.
Insane. And I think also, because I had seen this talk Eugene gave, because I'm on his Patreon and Discord for his podcast. He put out this talk and like showed scenes from a movie he's working on, and I think this is where I was trying to swing this conversation back around. Kind of like Husbands and Wives, it's structured like a documentary, but it's not in the same way that I think Husbands and Wives does this really well. It's not the mockumentary thing, which I'm not a big fan of. I don't really like The Office. I'm not really sure what it is.
I think I watched the first episode of that on Netflix like 4 years ago, and then I didn't watch any more of it.
Yeah, I find the like it's literally like winking at the camera, and I find it like irritating.
Right. It didn't feel like a mockumentary. You're right.
No. It felt like an actual documentary.
Yeah, that was actually a part that the part that I find interesting about it was the entire way that it was shot.
Yeah,
because you would have moments where like this kind of popped out when there was the scene where one of the main guys is like in a relationship with this young woman who's like retarded. And she like embarrasses him at this party in front of all of his intellectual friends, and she's talking about like fucking astrology and shit. And there's a part where like the camera gets like right in her face. Like,
and you didn't find this funny, this whole
okay,
whole bit?
That bit was funny. I will admit that made me laugh. I was like, oh, glad to see that representation even back then.
Yeah.
She was like, she says something like, they aren't intellectuals. They don't know what they're talking about. They haven't even got the basics. It's like, to her, the basics of understanding the universe comes from astrology and like, you know, all that other typical stuff. Of that goes along with that.
Yeah, I mean, the comedy of this movie comes from like Woody Allen just kind of like blowing his misogyny load.
Fair enough.
About how annoying and backhanded women are.
Is that going to be the title of the video? Woody Allen blows his misogyny load?
I was going to call it Woody Allen double feature, but that works too. Kind of going through my notes here.
Yeah, you took notes this time.
Yeah, idea I got from my friend Gala. She said to take notes when you watch movies. It helps you remember stuff better. Not sure if that's true, because I have to look at the notes.
Yeah,
but it is a fun exercise to just kind of sit there and like intently watch.
Yeah.
I like the so how I wrote it was, even when handheld, you can really feel the commitment to staging and composition. So like and this is kind of a more of a technical point, but Woody being like kind of a talkie filmmaker. I think we talked about this on the previous Woody Allen episode. As his career went on, he still was visual in how he did a lot of things. And I think there's a specific shot in Crimes and Misdemeanors I'll point out.
Okay.
But it might be similar. It might have been in this one as well. Even at the times when it just kind of feels like a amateur cameraman shooting a scene, there's a just really kind of like subtly masterful like staging and composition of shots. And
oh yeah, I had no complaints in that department. That was like the thing that kind of kept the attention.
I'm just going through my notes here.
Yeah.
I wrote that Sam looks like an American Emmanuel Bayart, and that was the that was the Crystals chick. My first glance at her, she looked like that French actress Emmanuel Bayart. Times it feels like Godard's Breathless in the editing. I don't think you've seen Breathless.
I have not.
It does those jump cuts. And there are quite a bit of jump cuts in this movie. I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
I realized about like 3/4 of the way through it's shot in Academy ratio. I've been watching that YouTube channel Movie Wise, and he talks a lot about like fucking aspect ratios. So it's shot in the old 1:3:3, where it's like not the full screen, but like the little square in the middle.
I didn't notice that, but that is neat. This also has a pre Schindler's List Liam Neeson in it as well.
Yes,
which was pretty neat, I think.
And he was fun.
Yeah, he. It's weird seeing like a younger Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Just because
he does seem like he was made to be an older grizzled man.
Yeah. That's
like genetically engineered in a lab to be Qui-Gon.
To be Qui-Gon. Yeah. Schindler's List, he's too young. Qui-Gon is like peak Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Physiognomy. Never mind. Not going
yeah. Liam Neeson race science.
we're not bringing back the physiognomy talk.
The other main thing I noticed is this feels like Woody Allen getting in on the kind of 90s independent film boom. He's already like an independent filmmaker, and he's like making a movie a year at this point, basically.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is of a piece of like when we talked about Buffalo 66, or if you talk about early Steven Soderbergh, this feels of a cloth to that, although he was working at probably a much higher budget than a lot of those people were. Although it was the 90s, so maybe not that much, but because they got some pretty decent budgets for those movies. But yeah, I mean, those are kind of the main observations I had about the movie. So you just generally didn't find it funny?
Yeah, generally I wasn't really... I've also been like super tired for like this entire week. It's I don't know. I think it's one of those things. Winter rolls around and then shit is just upended.
Yeah, I'm still getting over the Branch Covidian diagnosis. And
diagnosis.
Yeah. And at work, I have to wear a mask for a couple days.
Right.
That's not ideal. And I guess I was like sniffling and coughing a little bit more today. Yeah, one of my coworkers said. But, it is what it is. Yes, that's kind of all I had to say about Husbands and Wives. If we don't have much of a chat to have about that, check it out. I liked it. Funny thing about Woody is he does not do commentary. He does not do behind the scenes stuff. So if you're a physical media psychopath like myself, all you get is a movie. So, and I had to order mine, and it was like a library copy.
Oh yeah,
of the movie. Yeah. So, moving on to Crimes and Misdemeanors from 1989.
Yeah,
like
you said
a little bit more to say about this.
Yeah, you said Woody Allen entered his like angry phase with Husbands and Wives, and this one definitely felt a lot more upbeat, especially the ending.
Yeah.
Even though this one involves a murder.
Yeah.
And somehow this one involved a murder, and I guess just thematically speaking, it had a more uplifting message to it.
Sure.
And it actually kind of took me by surprise. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh.
Damn. I like that. I was like, I gotta write that down right now.
And write that down.
Yeah.
And we like that, as we used to say on the server. Yeah. Apparently that's from something. I just started saying it because you guys did.
Yeah. I think that's from an Oni Plays Trump impression video.
Oh.
Yeah. What the hell were they even talking about? I don't remember the specific context of, and we like that. But it's definitely something Trump would say as he's commenting on something.
It was always in the context of saying something like, and the famous something rant.
Oh yes. It was it was about Linkara's fucking Power Rangers video being 1,000 years late, and and Trump sarcastically saying that he has a great work ethic because he said it'll be out when it's out. And he goes, oh, and we like that, it'll be out when it's out. Now we just got the Oni Plays reference in the podcast. Yeah. So Crimes and Misdemeanors. This one was, I mean, the Husbands and Wives was like, a documentary style, pretty grounded in the experience of the the couples that it follows. But Crimes and Misdemeanors was much more of like a straight, just like, you know, it felt like a movie, not a documentary.
Sure. Sure.
And the the kind of like two main plots that are going on are Martin Landau's character. He had an affair with this flight attendant lady who is I forget her name, but I've seen her in a lot of things.
Character's name is Dolores Paley. I think it's
Angelica Houston.
Sounds right.
Yeah, her face is familiar. I've seen her in things.
Yeah. She's a person that exists.
Right. And so she kind of is like threatening to tell Martin Landau's character's wife. His character's name is Judah. I should be saying Martin Landau's character every time I'm referring to him.
Yeah.
And she insists on telling his wife that they were having an affair, because I guess the reason was she was having this affair with him on the assumption that he was already planning to leave his wife, and that just never happened. And he's this pretty wealthy kind of business type, and
he's a doctor.
Well, yeah, he's very wealthy at the same. Yeah, he. The reason I bring up his wealth is because she also was aware of like some sort of like shady business dealings he did when he was younger, and she also starts threatening to expose that as well, and he kind of freaks out, and he's like he calls his friend, who I guess he's like a gangster or something, or like some sort of like mob guy. And he's telling this guy, he's like, I don't know what to do. She insists on telling my wife this, and she's bringing up all this business stuff, and his friend just like, why don't you just kill her?
It's his brother, actually.
It's his brother?
Yeah.
Oh, damn! I guess I wasn't paying attention. I thought it was his friend. But yeah, Jack. No, he's like, he just suggests that he have her killed, and eventually he kind of just like, he lets it happen, I guess. He kind of passively lets it happen. He doesn't, but then he feels like guilt about having done it, and he goes to her apartment to grab some sort of. He says he was going to get some things that were incriminating, and he saw her body, and there's kind of like this interesting shot where he like walks in, and you see him like in the frame, and he's kind of looking down, and the camera kind of just slowly goes down to her lifeless face, looking up, staring, and he kind of mentions specifically later on her eyes. He was like really freaked out at having seen her dead, which, I think anyone would be.
Yeah, eyes through windows into the soul, and you don't have a soul because you're dead.
Right. And
scary shit.
And the other kind of the movie is split into like two perspectives, and the other half is Woody Allen's character is a documentary filmmaker, and he's he's making this documentary about this like just super pompous idiot.
Yeah. Played by Alan Alda.
Yeah, he did a great job of just being a dickhead. And he just keeps recording him doing shitty things that has nothing to do with the documentary they're trying to make. And then probably the highlight of the comedy of the movie is when he shows him the documentary that he made, and it's basically nothing to do with what the guy wanted the movie to be about. It's just him like being a dick to people behind the scenes, and and then he like intercuts in clips of Mussolini on like that famous clip of Mussolini on his like balcony giving a speech to people. And he even includes the famous part where like Mussolini crosses his arms all like he's like the exaggerated swagger of an Italian dictator, you know?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. The guy's like, "What the fuck is this? What are you doing? What are you talking? Like, why did you make this?"
He makes a little like Me Too moment for him. Where he's like hitting on this girl.
Yeah, he like put that in the documentary, and the person that kind of got him involved in making the documentary, and she's played by Mia Farrow as well, right?
Yes, yeah.
She's like, well, if I'd known you were gonna do that, I could have told you they weren't gonna let you make the movie. It's like, I don't think he had any expectation of the movie being made. He was just fucking around because he hated the guy.
Yeah, and he, in his like, in his own time, he's trying to, in his free time, he's trying to make this other documentary about this like philosophy professor that he thinks is like really brilliant. And
yeah, he's like a rabbi, right?
Yeah,
he was like a rabbi, and he was like a philosophy professor. And
well, there is a rabbi who.
Yeah, there's a separate rabbi as well. But
okay, maybe that other guy's a rabbi too.
Yeah, I thought he was a rabbi just the way he looked in the recordings of him giving his little speeches that you see throughout the movie.
Yeah,
but that might just be him being Jewish. I don't know.
No idea. Everybody's Jewish in a Woody Allen movie. You just generally go on that.
Yeah, that's fair. And at the same time, as he's making that documentary, he's trying to show Mia Farrow's character this the philosophy professor, and he's like, hey, we could also make a documentary about this guy too. And she's like, oh yeah, that would be great. And she's like talking about how they could try and work in maybe some funding or whatever to get that off the ground.
Yeah. And
I do believe at some point in the movie he gets a call that guy like killed himself.
Yes.
He's and the funny thing is, like, when you listen to the guy giving his speeches, they're very like life affirming and like goal oriented and like trying to like find happiness and all that.
Well, sort of, but I got the feeling when I was listening to them they were a little empty.
Oh.
And like they sounded life affirming, but it didn't really. Not to go full Randroid here, but it didn't really feel like connected to reality in any way.
Yeah, I suppose it's as life affirming as you can be when you come from the angle of like being religious, where
right,
like there is that inherent Abrahamic base that is pretty anti-life in a lot of ways. So
right, yeah.
As close as you can be to like kind of trying to pay lip service to the happiness you can find in life on Earth and stuff like that to dip into the Randroidism there.
I'm not even sure if that's like what Woody was going for. That was just kind of something I got from that guy's philosophical musings. I was like,
yeah,
sounds good, but it also just sounds like he's reaching for something,
right?
That he's not finding.
Yeah, so his goal of bringing the word of this philosophy professor to the world through his documentary just kind of falls apart because the guy just killed himself. You're like, oh damn. And not to like continue on like a plot synopsis kind of run here, but the stories do kind of they finally connect at the end with that rabbi, not the philosophy professor one, but the other rabbi who is like a patient of he's the patient of Judah, Martin Landau's character, and he's also related to Woody Allen's character, and uh, it's like his daughter is getting married, so uh, Woody Allen and Martin Landau are kind of brought together at the end of the movie at this wedding, and but by this point in the movie, uh, Martin Landau does not give a shit anymore, really, that he killed this woman or he had her
Yeah.
killed.
Yeah.
Because he kind of just rationalized away any sort of responsibility for his actions,
Yeah.
and
He's like an Ayn Rand villain.
yeah, he starts off feeling guilty, and then he like
Yeah.
embraces religion, and
Yeah.
there's a part where he's at like this family gathering and they're all talking like he has certain like there's like two factions of people within his family that are like arguing at the table, and like his aunt, or maybe not his aunt, but like the aunt character or whatever, she's super cynical and nihilistic, and just kind of, you know, whatever, morality is nothing, and
Yeah.
the other faction is like they're talking about like God's judgment and morality and stuff like that. So he kind of butts in, and he brings up, he's like, oh, but if someone killed someone, uh you know, what would happen then? And the guy says like, oh well, you know, he would, you know, get caught one way or the other. um you know, whether that's like, you know, eternal judgment, or, you know, being caught by the authorities, or, you know, suffering because of the torturing of your own soul of the matter.
Yeah.
And eventually he kind of just dismisses all of that, and he's just like, oh well, I got away with it, so I mean I must have been meant to get away with it. It's like, oh well, fuck you, dude.
Yeah, this is kind of remember it as Woody Allen's most like philosophical movie.
Yeah.
Um, and I know it was a favorite of William Friedkin when he was still alive.
Mhm.
And shot by Sven Nykvist, who was fuck Ingmar Bergman's cinematographer.
Yeah.
Generally, so on things like The Seventh Seal and Persona, stuff like that. Um, so there's a kind of a lineage there with these kind of like religious toned morality tales. Um, and another connection is to a later Woody Allen movie, Match Point, which I don't think you've seen yet either.
I have
But
not.
the difference there is I think we spend a lot more time with the potentially guilty party. And when I was watching that one, I felt the like physical like response to the guilt more than I did here.
Yeah.
And this isn't like a slight against or in favor of either movie. It's just different movie. And I think a lot of that has to do with Clifford Stern is more the main character, I think, than the Judah Rosenthal is the character's name. So I think we spend more time with Woody's character, and we like see the film more through his eyes.
Yeah. Yeah. I the focus was definitely more on him.
Yeah.
Because there, I might be wrong. I don't even think there's a moment where you see the switch in his character feeling guilt.
Yeah, no.
It's
No.
like he's guilty, and then by the end of the movie, it's the wedding that brings the two characters together. And by that point, the heavy drinking he was doing in the context of his guilt has transformed into him to like cheerfully just enjoying drinking at the wedding.
Yeah.
And the switch kind of just happened off screen.
Right.
Because at first you kind of think he still is feeling guilt because he's holding two drinks when he's talking to his wife at the wedding. You're like, oh, he's just hammered. But it's like when he has his discussion, you're like, oh, he has just completely, you know, abandoned any sort of feeling of being responsible for what he did, or how like he kind of views it as like a crisis for himself. Like the crisis was, oops, I killed somebody, but
Yeah.
the crisis is over now because um, some drifter was the one that got blamed for the murder, and so he like he's fairly certain he'll get away with it.
Right.
Uh, and
The
oh, go ahead.
Oh, you could finish your thought. I'm just
Oh, the thing that I kind of felt was interesting was that Martin Landau's character, the one that actually did something wrong, uh, is the one that ends the film in a state of like happiness, or not happiness, but like feeling no shame or guilt at all,
yeah.
while Woody Allen's character, who was, I mean, he didn't really do anything wrong. He tried to pursue something romantic with Mia Farrow's character, but it didn't really work,
Hmm.
and he was kind of upset about that. And I guess the guy that he really liked, killed himself and all that. So like he didn't really do anything wrong, but at the end of the movie, he's still left in a worse place mentally than than Martin Landau's character.
Right.
And
Yeah.
but the movie ends with like a quote that is um from uh the philosophy professor guy, um that kind of it's mostly just about like, I guess it's mostly just about taking responsibility for the choices that you make, if anything else.
Yeah.
um I had copied that down. I don't remember where I put it.
Well, well, you find that. Um,
Yeah, do say what
I
you were gonna say.
I thought it was really funny how Woody is seems to be really annoyed by people who make their way in a way that they cannot define to others how they made it, and then they try to define it. So
Yeah.
the Alan Alda character is like giving all this like really vague boilerplate advice that's like true, kind of, but the application of it is amorphous because like that William Goldman quote goes, like nobody knows anything,
Yeah.
particularly about the film industry. And I think it's particularly funny that Alan Alda, I think he's like a producer mostly of like sitcoms. And I think it's funny that Woody seems to really hate sitcoms when sitcoms really come from Woody Allen largely. um, it reminds me of this scene in Stardust Memories, which is a Woody Allen movie from 1980, I think. And it has this scene where these like aliens come down, and it's basically like that one meme where the loner dude is like smoking a cigarette, and the alien's like, "What, are you not surprised?" And he's like, "I got a lot going on, man." Uh, and the aliens are like, "We especially liked your early. We love your films, especially the early funny ones." And this was something that Woody heard a lot when he transitioned from like those early comedies to Manhattan, and then to not to Manhattan, to Annie Hall, and then Interiors, which was his first drama. And this drama got like kind of heard a little bit in its first viewing. Like it's when it first came out, it was not a funny movie. It's actually quite terrifying in some ways.
Yeah.
Um, and so that feels like of a piece of that kind of constant um, people trying to tell Woody what to think and taking from him in what he thinks is the most like um, surface level way that, like, say a sitcom might shoot some kind of comedic sketch from like everything you want to know about sex. So
Right.
yeah, it was just a thought I had.
I did find the note that I had taken while you were explaining that.
Yeah.
So, as I said, the movie ends during this wedding after the revelation that, or the kind of resolving of the situation where Martin Landau is, fine with the state of things, even though he has committed an unforgivable crime, and Woody Allen is just kind of stuck there, not sure what the hell to do. And it ends with the Professor Levi, I think his name was, or Levy or
that sounds
something.
right.
He says we're all faced throughout our lives with agonizing decisions, moral choices, some on a grand scale, most of these choices on lesser points, but we define ourselves by the choices we have made. We are, in fact, the sum total of our choices. Events unfold so unpredictably, so unfairly. Human happiness does not seem to be included in the design of creation. It is only we with our capacity to love that give meaning to the indifferent universe, and yet most human beings seem to have the ability to keep trying and even try to find joy from simple things like their family, their work, and from the hope that future generations might understand more. And it's like there is like a nugget of truth in that, even if it is presented in a pretty, truism kind of way, where you're just like, oh yeah, people really like their families, and they like the simple things, but like there's like a contradiction in, like, we're the sum total of our choices, and this guy made all the wrong, horrible choices, and in the end, he's kind of happy with the state of things.
Right.
Even if at some point he probably will, unless his soul is like completely rotten, you know, feel the regret again, because you can't really fake reality. Although,
Right.
it seems that it fell into his lap that someone else just got blamed for his crime, which is unfortunate. And I guess Woody Allen's character still has a lot on his plate to work out. And that's kind of like just the state of the ending of the movie, at least from what I thought.
Yeah, it's I I really like the movie. I really like both of these movies. The I love the like relationship Woody's character has with his niece. I thought it's really like cute and funny that they like go to movies together.
Yeah, and
Like hanging out.
there are parts where he brings Mia Farrow's character as well to the movies to
Yeah.
show her movies, and it it doesn't really have the same kind of there was a lot of I don't know. I liked the scenes where he brought his niece to the movies. It was like he's trying to show her, uh, you know, he there's a part
Cool
where he
shit,
tries to,
basically. Yeah.
huh?
Cool shit. He's trying to show her cool
Yeah,
shit.
he's that uncle who's just like, hey, check out this cool shit. Yeah,
And
everyone
he
needs
is
an uncle
here.
like that who's just like, hey,
Yeah.
this movie rules.
Dude, this shit slaps.
There's a part where he buys her
Like a photo book or something.
yeah, and he's like trying to teach her about all this stuff. He seems like a really nice guy, the character that he
Yeah.
wrote.
And you can kind of start to see why, because his sister, like, they got out of a bad breakup, and then she has this she has this moment where she describes that this guy she hooks up with like ties her down like in this BDSM style, like shits on her.
And he's like, oh my god, that's the worst thing
Oh
I've
my
heard in my
god!
life.
Why are you telling me this? And then he goes up to his wife, and they're in like a sexless marriage,
Right.
and he's like, so my sister had a guy shit on her chest. and she's like, well, I gotta be up at 7 in the morning, so good night.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to think about this?
Yeah, we didn't actually clarify that his character is married in this.
Yeah.
While he's trying to pursue this relationship with Mia Farrow's character, so I guess maybe he felt in the end, his sort of his state of misery he's in by the end might have been for a far lesser sin than murder. but
Right.
I guess it's sort of, his character is a bit more morally upstanding, so even though he didn't really do something nearly as wrong, or he was in a state that wasn't nearly as catastrophic, he still it still weighed heavy on him by the end.
Yeah.
Uh,
And also, the Mia Farrow character ends up with the Alan Alda character at the end as well. So,
yeah, even though the entire movie she just heard Woody Allen's character talking shit about the guy and like making the funny documentary about him being an idiot.
Yeah.
And I forget, did she see the documentary or no? I think he just showed it to Alan Alda.
She's never seen like watching it, but she just like she talks to him about like, if I had known you were going to do that, I would have told you about that. But I don't know if she actually saw it.
Right, it might have just been him telling her what he did.
Yeah. There's that one scene where they watch, I think it was like Singing in the Rain on like 16 millimeter or something.
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I liked the jump cuts to there's like 4 or 5 of them, honestly, where like the scene quickly jumps to him in the movie theater, and the first shot you get is just like a couple seconds of the screen of whatever movie he's watching.
Yeah.
I thought that was aesthetically really nice.
Yeah. I lost my train of thought.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, think of what else. Oh, I know what it was. There is this one. Damn. There's this one scene where Judah is having this like dark night of the soul moment where he's trying to decide if he's going to go through with this to save his like reputation or not.
Right.
And it's inside his house, and he has this like kind of like dream sequence, sort of, with like a fake version of the rabbi that he's been talking to. And the way it's done, it's like taking the language of horror and applying it in this kind of like minimalist way in this situation. I thought that was kind of cool how that happened. Maybe a bit on the nose, but I felt like it worked. When it was like there was the thunderstorm happening and he's like in shadow.
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, I thought it was, pretty aesthetically interesting.
Yeah.
The way that was kind of inserted in there. It is kind of funny that he keeps going to the rabbi character, or he talks to him several times throughout the movie. He doesn't keep going to him, but
right. Yeah.
By the end of the movie, because he's a an eye doctor, right? I couldn't remember the fucking word.
Ophthalmologist, yeah.
Yeah. And by the end of the movie, the rabbi is like blind, completely. He's like slowly losing his eyesight throughout the movie, and he goes to him, I think, one time after the actual murder, and he's telling him like, oh well, if you've committed these sins, you have to confess to them, and he's just like, he's bringing it up to his brother. He's just like, he's talking to him about how he's feeling all this guilt and how he has to confess and all that. And his brother's just like, he's like, you bring me out here and you tell me about all your problems, and then we kill this lady, and now you're talking about confession. Like, it's like
the time to confess was when you had cheated with your wife.
Yeah,
not now.
Not now.
This is murder.
Yeah. It's
I love that little like I think I'm just now making this connection here. that little piece of just like pure moral clarity from like the least moral character,
Right.
where it's like, yeah, you have gone all the way to damnation, and you're worried now.
Right. Like it's kind of funny that, you know, he went to the most extreme crime of, like, you know, ending someone's life, they're gone forever.
Yeah,
Because he was afraid to tell his wife the truth.
yeah,
Like the idea of, like, this is kind of a pretty consistent thing with crime, with murders, is like,
hmm
not that there's really many reasons that are good to murder somebody, but like,
right.
it's always like, oh, I didn't want to tell them about this thing. And it's like, really? Like,
That's it.
you're so in your own head about, like, not wanting the truth of something to be revealed that you are going to kill somebody over it. And then the guilt comes after you've killed them.
Yeah.
Cool.
And yeah, it's similar to like I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is a weird connection to draw, I know, but
Yeah.
there's that moment where they just hit the guy and they decide to throw him in the ocean for some reason.
Yeah.
And you could be one of those like, oh, that's a plot hole. Why would they do that? And it's like, maybe, but it's kind of the whole point of the movie. But if they had just like waited, he's alive, as we figure out, and they end up drowning him because they didn't think. So it really, a lot of times, it just comes down to like, even if the word had gotten out of the affair, what's the worst thing that happens? He gets in some minor trouble for the embezzlement.
Right.
Maybe that's it.
Yeah. There's even a point in the during the wedding where two characters are talking about someone being in prison for, like, some financial crime, and one woman says to the other one, like, you know, he'll be in and out in like in like 2 years or whatever, like it's nothing. And now this guy, I mean, I guess he, you know, by the end of it he doesn't care, but it's like, all this someone got murdered because they insisted on the truth being revealed to your wife that you were having an affair, and that they knew about some embezzlement or whatever. But even then, some random lady saying that she knows that you embezzled money, like, years and years ago, like, is that really going to amount to anything?
Yeah.
Like, is just some random person is going to, like, get the government to audit you? Like, is that really, is the IRS that fucking, I mean, I guess they are. they're that out for your money. They're like, some random lady says that you embezzled money. Well, we better check. This flight attendant said so.
Yeah, you probably don't even get any jail time for something like that. Like,
right. Who knows? Probably statute of limitations on that shit, if there's such a thing for financial crime. I'm assuming there is.
There is the fuck, what was I saying? Second time. Yeah, it's a great movie about crimes and misdemeanors.
Yeah, guess so.
How, like, every situation is not as big as you think it is unless you make it.
Yeah, unless you decide to go from 0 to 100 and murder somebody because they want to expose the truth of something you did.
Yeah, I mean, and even like when the movie first started, I was like, it's kind of ridiculous that she's trying to make this like public. Like, what is she gaining from this?
Right.
But by 20, I think it's like 20 minutes in, he's already thinking, should I kill this bitch?
I just like how murder is just like, yeah, that's the most reasonable solution in murder. You know, ending her life forever. Yeah.
Yeah, the wiki here says several publications have ranked Crimes and Misdemeanors as one of Allen's greatest films. I think, at least according to Letterboxd, I've seen about 25% of his filmography as a director. I can see why they would say that. I'm
Would you
not
say it's up
sure.
there as far as the ones you've seen from his
Definitely
filmography?
top five. I'd have to think about it. I really like
Yeah.
Deconstructing Harry. It's really funny.
Okay.
Um, it's a responding to the critics, like Taylor Swift "Shake It Off" kind of movie. And it's very funny. Um, the
That one goes out to all the Swifties out there.
Yeah, it's the year of Swift.
Mm.
So
Swift sweep, as it were.
yeah, Swift season. I don't know. Uh, did I tell you about those, like, that when I went to see the new David Fincher movie and those girls came in wanting to see Taylor Swift? Did I tell you about that?
No, you didn't. If
Okay,
you did,
well,
I don't remember.
David Fincher's The Killer, which is a good movie. I think it's on Netflix right now. Um, I went to go see that at a theater, and I'm sitting down, the movie's about to start, and this group of like really excited, like they had to be like teenagers. They come in, and one of the girls is like, Taylor Swift, in the most like excited whisper.
Yeah.
And I like have no choice but to giggle just at the absurdity of the situation, and I just say no. It's a movie about a hitman, by the way.
Yeah. I like that they were in their own world where, like, this is, the Taylor Swift movie is out. People are here to see the Taylor Swift movie.
Yes.
Are you here to see the Taylor Swift movie? You're like, no, I'm here to watch this David Fincher Hitman movie. They're like, oh, okay.
Go off. Um, anything else?
I don't think so. I'm surprised we actually managed to get an hour out of this one. I was
Yeah, me too.
I was worried it would be a bit short because I wasn't sure how much I had to say about one of the two movies.
Yeah, well, sometimes that happens.
Yeah.
Like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a follow and a rating on Apple and Spotify. It helps that get into the algorithm. And we got one more episode this year, actually.
Yeah.
And this season, we're talking a couple Jimmy Stewart Christmas movies. That'll be your hint for next week.
We're being secretive now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying Jimmy Stewart Christmas movies. There are two movies starring Jimmy Stewart that take place around Christmas.
Yeah.
If you don't get it, I don't know what to tell you. Other than the titles of the movies.
All right, smart guy, you try and figure it out.
We'll be back next week for our Christmas special. And then we're going to be off for, I think, a week. And we'll be back for season 3 of Sense of Life.
Yeah. I think it makes the most sense to start off the season with the new year.
Yeah. Yes. And with season 3 on the week of New Year's.
Yeah.
So see you next time.
Looking forward to it. See you next time.